control. You're listening to Unspooled, the podcast where failed prints are just part of the journey. Hosted by Corey from Moji 3D, the guy who thinks filament is a personality trait, and Steve from Layer by Layer, who probably has more spools of filament than forks. Every week we dive into 3D printing, making, and the occasional rant. So grab your favorite filament and let's get unspooled.
All right, we should be live. Episode 34 of Unspooled. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I am good. I know both of us are a bit sleepy this evening, but we are gonna power through.
Power through.
Did you do like a blurry background, or your image?
No, it didn't work. It's just
your image just froze for me.
Oh, okay. I'm shutting down some stuff that I don't need running, so it might have ticked it or whatever.
Oh yeah, Laser 3D CNC says, Steve, I can't see you. It's Yuri too.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
I can see us in here. I can't see us out there. Let me turn the camera on. That is very weird. Can you see me in here?
I can see me in everything, but I can. You're frozen in StreamYard, and you're just black.
I'm moving on. Well, I'm just wet. What was that?
Oh, come on! You just have a black screen in YouTube and Twitch.
I don't know what's happening. Let's see.
So
hold on.
We have while Steve figures out his technical difficulties, we have
there we go.
Interesting topic tonight. Something that we've been talking about in 3D printing for a long time. It's a hot topic for politicians rerunning for office. It seems to be the case. So we have it in Washington State and New York State currently, and that is regulating 3D printers and again, I'm just paraphrasing stuff. This isn't what and so when I use terminology, so using or regulating 3D printing to help reduce ghost guns, right?
Yeah.
What they refer to as ghost guns, untraceable, untrackable, homemade DIY firearms. So it is for someone like me, I am a responsible firearm owner, a legal firearm owner. I'm not one that is like, leave me alone, let me do everything I want to do type of thing. No, I think you need to be a legal, responsible gun owner, and there should be checks and balances to make sure that any individual is, safe to own a firearm, and you should do so legally. So what are your thoughts on it, Steve, as far as first as aside, like, not even talking about the 3D printed things, just as far as like gun ownership, and then we can kind of roll into 3D printed gun and firearm components.
So I don't own any firearms. That's not to say that I wouldn't, just because, I mean, the world's weird right now, and as far as having one for protection, I'm not opposed to that at all. But it's also a thing of like, say they were like, hey, we want everybody to turn in their firearms, I'd gladly turn mine in. I was like, I just don't want bad people having firearms and hurting, me or my family, and me not being able to defend them. That's just like how I feel about it. Like, do I think that we need assault rifles in America? No. I think, your firearms should be relegated to standard protection and hunting. For the most part, like certain things you just don't need for that level of for protection, or for hunting. So that's kind of like where I fall.
It's not unreasonable, I am a firearm owner. I own numerous firearms, and I'm one that believes, I do have a right to own those, and again, legally, right? All of my firearms are obtained and purchased legally from a dealer and everything. So I'm also not one that would be okay with taking of the firearms. I'd be like, no, I do deserve to. I have the right to own those type of thing. But I'm split. I'm a little bit split. I am a huge 3D printing enthusiast, right? It consumes my whole life, and regulation on 3D printing to try to prevent ghost guns from existing, I don't believe. I truly believe won't work, right? I don't think a lot of strict regulation in a lot of things to prevent legal acts. I mean, we've seen it countless times. We see it with drugs, right? Or abusive alcohol, or all types of things. And I think with 3D printed firearm regulation, I think what we're going to get into is it's not going to prevent those people out there that are just going to break the law and have no, don't think about it at all. It's not going to prevent them, right? They're still going to buy or make the 3D printers. They're still going to make the firearms and the firearm parts. The only people that it's going to affect are you, me, and whoever else. One of the questions I heard from the New York governor, who is proposing this, like the Washington State governor, was that they had spoken to a dentist, right? 3D printing is very prevalent in dentistry, has been for over a decade, maybe two, right? So dentists use 3D printers to print dental fixtures, dental things. So their question was, I'm concerned about this regulation because now am I going to own a 3D printer to produce my dental stuff and be violating a law, right? Because all of these regulations aren't misdemeanors or low-end things. All of these regulations are Class C felonies, right? So for example, the Washington State proposal, which is, if you guys look it up, and it's like verbose as heck, and I haven't gone through all of it, so not an expert.
Yeah.
But it's HB 2321 and 2320, right? So HB 2320 is focusing on, it's focusing on firmware and software level prevention.
Yep.
And then HB 2320 is the bill that targets receiver and frame production. Now, this also has wording in there for CNC milled parts, right? So they're being very careful not to just target 3D printing, even though in all of their media and highlights, it's just 3D printing, right? And then somewhere down in the body, it'll say CNC milled parts as well. Now, I don't have as much of an issue with 2320, right? I don't have an issue with receiver and frame production being regulated, right? Like, I think if you own a 3D printer in order to produce 3D printed receivers or frames, I think you should have to be licensed, right? I think those should have to be serialized. I think those should have to be licensed with either the feds, the ATF, or the states, right? So California, as of 2023, they also require state licensing in addition to federal licensing if you produce gun firearms or firearm components, either with subtractive or additive manufacturing. So I don't have an issue with that one. The one I have an issue with is the 2321, specifically in Washington State, where they specify preventing firearm production if you are a 3D printer manufacturer with firmware or software level prevention. So what the wording in it says, so you have 3 ways to prevent firearms from being printed on your printer. If I am ABC 3D printer company and I produce a 3D printer, I can use 3 ways to prevent my user from printing a firearm or firearm components on that machine. One is a firearm blueprint detection algorithm within the 3D printer's firmware. 2, an integrated preprint software design that includes the algorithm. And then 3, handshake authentication design. So basically, I have a closed slicer that does a digital encrypted authentication with my printer and says, yes, this file's good. You can print it, right?
Mhm.
So the issue with this is that they I can't remember if it was the New York governor or the Washington governor. Well, one of them spoke with Dan Shapiro, who Dan Shapiro is the CEO or the founder of Glowforge, right? And they explained it to him as though they want a 3D printer manufacturer or a CNC or a laser cutting machine. This applies to anything that could cut 3D parts,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to use an AI algorithm in a camera to look at a part being made and determine indiscriminately,
Yeah.
right, that it is 100% a firearm or a firearm component or part, and not allow it to be printed, right?
It's so stupid though.
Right. So he said, and this is someone who obviously knows what he's talking about. He
Yeah.
says, and I'm quoting him, the version of that legislation is wishing what exists, or sorry, exists is that you could look at a set of shapes and somehow understand whether or not that set of shapes could be made into a gun, and only a gun. And that's just not possible, right?
It's not.
I mean, and then he went in to say, like, if you're don't care, you just split that part into more parts that make it even more difficult for it to identify.
I mean,
and then he went into saying, like, not only does it not exist, the firmware and software level protections, but he said, even if someone were to create it and it worked, it gives an unfair advantage to overseas manufacturers, and he highlighted specifically Chinese manufacturers, because they're going to ignore the mandate, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to continue to sell their printers, but yet everybody else is not. But if you buy one of those and these laws existed, you're now a felon. You're committing a felony, right?
Yeah. It's to me, here's the thing. We both are designers. What's to keep us from just designing a rectangular block, and if we have a CNC, we go and cut, the shapes out from that block? That's number one. That's that would be the outside of, like, where you're not violating anything on either machine, in a sense. Yep. That would be the way that you could easily skirt around that part of it. It's like, I'll just make, the rough shape of it, make it 100% infill, and then just cut it, Yeah.
And so one of my thoughts was, and Cyber Jules just said it, and cosplay props, right?
Yeah.
It would basically throw out all cosplay weapons, right?
Yeah.
Because there would be two ways that you could print. There's two things that would happen, right? So I now have a 3D printer that prevents the printer just will not print a gun that it identifies as being a firearm or parts of a firearm. Yeah. So if I'm printing a Helldivers 2 prop gun,
yep,
my printer is going to say, nope, can't print that, right? So the only way around that would be for you to have to contact the printer manufacturer and say, this is for a prop, help me print this, right? So you're now at the mercy of a company who is bound by regulation. They're gonna just say no, right? Because if they say yes and you end up turning a Helldivers cosplay prop into an actual firearm, they've just been complicit in you committing a Class C felony.
Yeah.
So if they were forced to do it, they're not going to say yes. They're just going to go, nope. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Well, look at the Nerf, like modified Nerf, gun. Well,
yeah, they get hammered on YouTube.
I know, right? I was like, but look at the Nerf stuff that you can make. All the different kits that you can buy. That people aren't printing them to look like real firearms. They're printing them to look like Nerf firearms, and people are getting blocked on YouTube or getting their videos, their streams taken down because it looks like you're brandishing a real firearm.
Yeah,
but it's not. And so, and then those videos are put back on the site. But to the untrained eye, the untrained AI, it will be trained. But to the the whatever they decide, like, hold on. First of all, we still have trouble identifying when your print is messed up.
Right. AI spaghetti detection. It happens all the time where it's like, oh, AI spaghetti detection, isn't it? And it stops printing.
We still
And the
struggling
print is
with that
gone.
part of it, dude. So like,
Yeah.
how are we going to jump to, oh, now you want to be able to identify that this is, whatever part it may be. So I just don't think it's like you said, it may be a talking point for like election year, but I also didn't think it was an issue that people were like, oh, well, what are we going to do about this? Or what's going to happen? Like, I didn't think this was a point that people were like, hey, governor or person running for office, what are we doing about this thing? Like,
Yeah.
To me, it didn't seem like an issue. It seems like something that it's a boogeyman right now.
So
and it's because of the Mangione, what's his name? Luigi Mangione thing or whatever. It helped it bubble to the top.
And that was what the governor of New York, that Kathy Hochul, I think Hochul.
Yeah.
That's what she cites for her reasoning of this proposed legislation due to increased ghost gun violence. And again, they use the hot word ghost gun, specifically the Brian Thompson shooting that allegedly used a gun with a 3D printed lower and a 3D printed silencer, right?
Yeah.
And I say alleged because there's reports that that the gun isn't the gun and blah blah blah. So whatever that means, and then to conflict that is that the ATF also issued a statement saying that since 2022, when they implemented a more stringent regulation on assemble yourself, what they called gun kits or core gun parts kits, that when they needed to, they require a serial, background checks, and a license to manufacture. There's a federal license. California is the other state that also has state licenses, so you need both, right? Not one or the other, you need both. But ever since the ATF implemented that in 2022, according to the United States Attorney General, they have seen a 36% decrease in ghost gun numbers. Now, they didn't delve further into that. I assume that means that they've seen a 36% decrease in the amount of confiscated ghost guns, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot, right? 36%. Now, it doesn't mean that I mean, 40, you get another, 74% or 64% that are out there that I mean, that's a lot, but I strongly believe that all this regulation is only going to hurt 3D printer manufacturers, filament manufacturers, CNC company manufacturers, and then us, right? The people that want to know.
Only the off-the-shelf printers, because I mean, you have tons of other machines that are available, kits that you can build, and slicers that people can make.
Yeah, so a lot of these state any machine used, sold, or produced in the state. So a lot of people are assuming that if this bill passes, if you now own the clarification comes is now all of my older printers, are they now grandfathered and fine, or are they now illegal because they don't have these safeguards, right? And again, these safeguards don't exist in no avenue of, as that Dan Shapiro from Glowforge said, there's no current ability or system to actually do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether they want to do it, it currently doesn't. The ability currently doesn't exist. The technology doesn't exist. Nobody has done it. But so the other thing is that if that passes, so say the firearm and the firmware and software level prevention, the part of HB 2321 in Washington State, if that passes, it basically means that every printer you buy as a Washington resident has to be connected to the internet, right? Because it now has to.
If it's on the board, it technically doesn't have to be connected to the internet.
If it's on the board, but if
yeah.
start to say, now you need to make a handshake authentication, and it needs to check against a database that says, yep, this is a known file from a firearm of a firearm.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be internet connected.
Yeah, yeah.
So it basically takes anybody who just has a USB stick, sticks it into a printer, no internet, and you're not going to be able to have that. It's going to have to be internet. It's going to throw away, like open source will be out the window, right? You'll have no access to firmware.
Yeah.
Orca's out the window because now the integrated preprint software has to include that algorithm and has to do a authenticated handshake between your device and your software. So Orca's out the window. You know, I think even what they've put out now, it's just going to snowball into a lot more stuff that is going to prevent people from using a printer in just mundane ways.
Well, I mean, it's in my opinion, it's just not going to work. It's just, you're trying to ban a tool that's used for more, like, people are printing more dragons than they are, you know, switches and stocks and stuff like that, you know. So like, and that's kind of like saying, you know, hey, you can't use, you know, a CNC because you know, we got to see what you're printing, or just a wood shop in general, because, you know, with and I'm minimalizing this, but a spring and some rods and a piece of wood, and you could make, you know, a generic, you know, stock.
Yes, you could make a device that could fire, you know, that could fire a single projectile
and can improve. Well, I'm just saying, just to add on to a firearm already, that would give you the spring, that would dampen the recoil and allow for what can, you know, be considered, you know, a modified firearm.
Because the New York bill does include provisions that refers to bump stocks or modifications to like a Glock to make so basically it refers to anything that turns a automatic pistol into a fully automatic. So, which again is already illegal at the federal level, but they're just expanding it to include those parts to be 3D printed on a 3D printer.
But like I was saying, I think you can make a simple bump stock with just pieces you could find around any person's shop, you know, and like there's no way of regulating that either, outside of the fact that it is illegal already. But you wouldn't be able to say you can't do it if someone has their own plot of land and they're doing that, and there's nothing you'd be able to do or say or even know about unless, you know, someone mentioned it. But I just think it's just so slippery of a slope to try to regulate. I don't think it's even remotely feasible, outside of saying no one can have 3D printers, you know, at this point, or no one can have, you know, CNCs and like that. All of that stuff is already, people have all of these things in their houses or in their workshops right now. A lathe, if you wanted to, you know, carve out a steel tube, you know, to use in a rudimentary firearm, or, you know, an elephant gun type of device or anything. So to try to like make it where, once again, I feel like this is politicians not understanding technology, you know, which it seems to happen a lot. Because a lot of times politicians are older,
and they often refer to, we sought out the experts, right? So they go to talk to people like this Dan Shapiro from Glowforge, and apparently they talked to Bamboo and Creality, or they attempted to and didn't receive a response. So I talked with a couple other people who are both, that I'm familiar with, that are both 3D printers and gun enthusiasts, right? And they have much more, like, more than me, where they're like, if I want to print 3D printed stock firearm stuff, I'm going to do it. And you're not, the government's not going to tell me I can't do it, which again, I'm not that, but so their concern is that, so these things don't exist in order to be able to do what they want, right? There is no way to currently look at shapes and say it's 100% a firearm. So yeah, it just can't make it. So the concern for them, and I've heard it from a few other people, that this is going to result in the states pleading it down to say, okay, we can't do this, so we're just going to make it so that all 3D printing machines, CNC machines, anything that can cut or subtractive or additive manufacturing, make a 3D print, a 3D part, has to be regulated, right? So like a firearm, if you buy a 3D printer, it now has to be licensed with the state.
I don't even think it'll get that far. I think they'll just say, hey, how often is this happening? And it's such a weird thing, because you have to look at it like people who commit acts of like domestic terrorism or something like that, and they're on a Discord and they talk about it, and then their friends inform the police, and then that happens. I think it's going to be at most along those lines for preventative stuff, but I think that it'll also be one of those things of, there'll probably be red flags for people who want to print that type of stuff way before it even gets to that point, and it may be a thing of like, oh, this person just bought 7 3D printers. Let's pay him a visit and see what he plans on printing with it.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I know, right?
My door.
And I think that'll be what they'll pay attention to. Because to me it just seems more feasible to go that route than to like say, hey, you can't make stuff without us knowing that you're making stuff. And you're like, well, all I print is like freaking coasters and dragons. Like, how is this a danger, and why do I have to tell you or send this information to some cloud or whatever, like, in order to do it? And do what they already do. They monitor tons of traffic. If someone's selling files for different pieces of equipment, they'll see where those files are going.
And there are provisions in both New York and Washington things that actually that references file creation and production, right? So it would be, so in Washington, it would also be a Class C felony with punishable up to 5 years in prison and a $15,000 fine if you created and or shared a 3D printed file. So if you create a 3D printed file of a firearm or a part, and you possess it, that's a violation. That's a crime. And then if you share that, that's a crime. So
real quick, I also think that, like, how long would a firearm farm last? Because once the first person gets caught, somebody's gonna get caught, and a deal's gonna be broken. And like, where'd you get this from? I got this from this guy in freaking Upper Seattle. Well, how many people have 3D printers in Upper Seattle? And it'll easily kind of like walk back to that person, that farmer, or whomever it's manufacturing the part. It's super dangerous, but like with the whole switches thing, there's people mass producing those things, and
yeah, I mean, part of these both regular bills that were proposed, both of them cite the guy who was caught with, I don't know, it was like 100 and something 3D printed silencers, right? I don't remember what state he was in. I mean, he might have been in Washington, I don't know. But basically he was caught printing and allegedly selling, who knows if he did, or gifting, whatever it was, but he was printing gun silencers and whatever. But which, I mean, at a federal level is already illegal. And again, I'm okay with that, right? Like, I don't necessarily think anybody I don't care who you are, unless you're a licensed manufacturer, should be printing firearms or firearm parts at home.
Yeah.
Especially not to give away to people or to sell. Now there's caveats to that, right? Like
Yeah.
if I'm a 1911 owner and I want to 3D print some grip scales for the side of my 1911,
Yeah.
I should be able to do that, right? It's
Well,
I'm not printing, but that would be classified as part of a firearm. So if I print purple PETG grip scales for a 1911, am I now a Class C felon? You know, like it's just
but then it's also like, where does the line get drawn? Say you're a collector and you buy and refurbish, let's say Civil War rifles. Are you allowed to do that? It's a historic item. It may not even function. You're just printing it to kind of like complete the look of it or something, or various types of ancient, or I say ancient, but like relic firearms or collectors firearms. Where does that line get drawn? Would you still be allowed to print pieces for something that is considered a antique? Like, how does this all kind of like, I don't think they really fleshed it out. It's just a good talking point.
And I strongly believe that I think it's the New York governor who is currently up for re-election, which there was another politician in New York that did something similar to this during the year that they were seeking re-election, got re-elected, and then the bill just basically died on the floor. I don't think anything like this will ever pass.
Yeah.
But I also think that we, as people in the 3D printing community, whether you're a 3D printing community member or a firearm community member or both, and you have strong feelings about both, I personally don't look at this at all about firearms, right? Like, I throw that right out the window. I'm on the 3D printing side of like, hey, you're going to do a lot more damage to us than prevent violence or criminals from making, right? They're still going to make them. They're going to buy 100 Ender 3s and still make the same thing, and not care about it. So the only thing that's going to get affected is me, right? And now I'm my whole 3D printing business or just personal hobby is affected, and that's right. I don't think anything like this will pass. My only concern of it is what I mentioned before, is if they can't get these to pass and they start to get more traction in other states, and if they can't get these to pass, what will this trickle down to, right? Because the main legal, or the United States legal system is a system of pleaing down, right? You plea something down until you get something to stick, a conviction or a bill to pass. So if these start to get more, if bills like this start to get more traction in other states, my concern is not that these will pass, because I don't think they'll pass as they sit, but what will this eventually trickle down to so that they get to pass? And I unfortunately think that it would be easier for a state to pass a bill that says, hey, we're not going to prevent you from printing anything on your printers, but we are going to make you register your printers, because then they're registered, right? And they can now check on those whenever they want. And that is where
I think the downside of it. The downside of it is, if it was like something that was put on like the ballot, there's not enough people out there that understand it to like, a lot of times people just go in there and check, okay, that's cool, all right, whatever, cool. And you could get something like this passed that really doesn't make, like I keep saying it doesn't make sense. It's like,
well, and that's the thing, like a lot of bills passed that a lot of bills and laws get created that nothing ever comes from, right? Because they're not enforceable, right? So they often pass stuff that just never gets enforced because it's unenforceable. And I think this would be one of them, right? If they pass something like this, I just don't think it would ever go anywhere. And I think it would not be enforced because I believe both of these to be unenforceable.
Yeah.
My concern lies in how do they dumb this down and make it even more general to get something to pass? Because
I don't think they dumb it down. I think they just let it die.
yeah,
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
what'll happen. And I was trying to pull them up, but I remember I used to like monitor a lot, like 3D printer, like where people were searching 3D printing, and a lot of times it was in like Wyoming and Utah, and like those kind of like northwestern kind of like area states. And you're like, well, why is it so big in these areas? And the obvious reason is more than likely because of ghost guns and well, I won't say ghost guns, 3D printed guns that they can make in those. Because like, and this is just speculative, but it's also just like, well, like why would these super rural areas be so big into 3D printing? And I'm like, it used to be like a huge like margin of like these areas are showing up higher on the list consistently by a large amount. I mean, and look at Rocky Mountain, Rep Rap Festival, not in association with firearms, but I'm saying the turnout that they have in Colorado, so you look at those and you're like, well, why is it so popular? And I mean, using deductive reasoning, you have to assume that it's probably because of like the ability to make and 3D print your own pieces or parts for a firearm. Not to say that it's it could be decorative, it could be just because you can, but like it's just the thought process behind all of it and trying to connect everything. Honestly, like I said, the only way I think it would ever pass anywhere is just it's on the ballot. It's a boogeyman. People,
I mean, if it's on the ballot, they'll wordsmith it in a way that someone looks at it and it says, "Oh, pass this bill to prevent illegal ghost guns and gun, so whatever it is," and people will be like, "Oh yeah, I want to reduce. I don't want illegal guns out there. I'm gonna pass it." But like I said, I think even if it would pass, I think it's as it sits right now, it's unenforceable. But
I'm more afraid of people with real firearms. Never have I been like outside them and like, oh man, I hope someone doesn't shoot me with a gun that they made at home. No, I'm more afraid.
Whatever type of violence it is, right? Like I don't want someone to run me down in the street with a car. I don't want to be stabbed in a subway. I don't want to be shot anywhere. Like, I mean, and again, that's like a whole nother topic of like what really causes gun violence, right? Is it the guns or is it the people? and it's like,
but like, would you be like, someone's about to rob you? You'd be like, oh my gosh, is that PLA? Like,
yeah, like, did you do that in PETG?
Man, that's
that
really
Polymaker
nice.
Starlight Neptune.
Oh, no, you can't name any names. What are you doing?
Oh, cut it out.
Bleep that
but
yeah, would you what they do make the 3D printing generals, I can't remember what it's called, and that's a filament that a lot of firearm the PLA Pro from his PLA Pro.
It's the desert tan color. I can't even think of it. And those.
But then also like, what's to say that someone couldn't 3D print like a PPSCF knife or something? I mean, like where does the line get drawn? Like, because you can make whatever you want, and then you can make whatever you want into something else.
I mean, we've seen plenty of 3D printed metal hammers that could do a significant amount of damage.
Yeah. So you got a spammer.
I got a spammer.
Yeah, it's just weird, and it is literally one of those things of I wish people really understood technology more in order to fully understand how that stuff kind of works. Because had it been a deeper dive into it, and they're like, hey, we know that this isn't the case, It's like saying everybody with a spray can is doing graffiti.
Yeah.
Like you don't regulate, that kind of stuff. You don't regulate wood shops. We know that parts for rifles are made from wood, but like, are we like, oh, wait a minute, So like, where does that line get drawn? People are already casting stuff.
Well, and I remember when all the 3D printing or the regulated 3D printers for guns talk started. All of the people in 3D printing were like, whoa, wait a minute, what about CNC machines? And
that was my first thing.
Then they started putting CNC machines, and
Yeah.
any machine that can create a 3D part, whether it's subtractive or additive. That's how they're saying it now. Yeah. So the CNC community is probably like, whoa, the 3D printing community threw us, onto the bus, and then it's like now it is CNC machines.
Even still, you have like sports. I don't know what it's called. I'm gonna say firearm sports, sports shooting or whatever. And like these people got like speed loaders that are insane for like shotguns, where they can take and they can just reach down on the hip and pull up 2 shells and then load them into their firearm in like 1 second, literally, dude. And like these things, like I said, and they look super cool. Like they're like, they're like on their arm or on their leg or on their side or on the butt of their firearm. So like, is that gonna still be illegal? Like it does improve the firing rate because a person who practices with that device can now load a lot more shells into a firearm than they could prior. So like what,
Yeah, and I agree with Tech Cheaper, and I'm the same way, right? So I don't hunt anymore. I used to hunt back in the day. I haven't hunted in 15 years, but I am a sport shooter, a collector, and then home protection, right? Like that's it, but again, I'm a legal gun owner. So I'm not by being against this, right, regulation in 3D printed firearms, by no means am I, or I think anybody, saying don't regulate firearms. I'm again, and I'm not, right? Like I think Nick said it before, like, is there a federal law that requires any gun owner in the United States to be registered? There isn't, right? It's left to the states. New York City, all firearms in New York City, purchased in New York City and owned by residents in New York, not city, but New York, has to be registered.
Yeah.
Look where I live, there is no state registration requirement, right? You can purchase guns from a licensed FFL dealer. You can purchase guns from a private seller, and basically that's it. It's pretty simple. And other states have some varying, something in between those two. But
look at what Kevin said. He said he made a Glock speed loader. Things removed it from the leaderboard. And I wonder if that was like a terms and conditions type of thing, or were they like, wait a minute, and then
I do believe most of the file repositories, like I think if I remember right, Thingiverse did something where they said like firearms,
but
no.
That was recent. That was within like the last, let's say, 6 months.
Yeah.
After like the Luigi thing, and that's what kind of.
And they're companies, right? They're companies who supply a repository, so it's up to them whether they say yes or no. And I'm fine with it. If they say no, okay. I'm not creating 3D. I'm not creating files for that anyways. And if I was, I wouldn't be putting it up on that type of thing. But again, I think I don't. There's like that fine line between like firearm regulation, like too much and not enough. I think it would. I don't think it would be a bad thing for some states to have a little bit more. But I also think it would be tough if some states went even tougher, like a New York or something like that. But I'm just more focused on the 3D printing side of it. Like I don't want to have to register my 3D printers with the state or the federal government. I don't want to have have my printer online to make sure it's not printing illegal stuff. Like, I want it to be okay for me to say, I'm not doing those things.
Yeah.
But then if I lie and I do those things and you catch me, you got me, right? Like,
Yeah.
then I broke a law and I'll go to jail, you know, or I'll pay a fine or whatever it is. And that's where I think it is. I think there should be laws against it to punish the people that do it,
Yeah.
but not a preemptive thing to try to punish people with preventative measures
Yeah.
that likely aren't going to do anything.
Exactly. Also, I had a thought. I was trying to hold on to it, and then I lost it. The dog started barking, and then I lost it.
He sounds angry. He sounds
Can you hear him?
not angry. Yeah. He doesn't see. He's not like. He just sounds like he wants to play or go out or. Not loud.
I mean, speaking of dogs, it's kind of like pit bulls. You know, like some states try to regulate that as well, because of the stigma attached to them.
Some home insurances will drop you if you have like pit bulls, German shepherds, you know, the dogs that the society thinks tend to be chows, stuff like that, that are on, because a lot of insurance companies do have what they refer to as bite lists, and it's breeds of dogs that are more prone to biting. Do you know Dalmatians are on that list? Which I found
really, I heard Dalmatians are like, you know, like a 9/11. They'll go off at any time. Not in that. I'm going to say 1911. Sorry. Oh my God.
Okay. So
delete that part.
Yeah. Apparently Dalmatians are high up there with dogs that end up nipping or biting people.
Also heard that Dalmatians have a little tend to have a couple screws loose because of selective breeding, we will say.
So I mean, as a dog owner, I have two German shepherds, a boy and a girl. And I strongly believe that a dog reflects its ownership and its environment, right?
Oh, 100%.
If you're a good owner that treats your dog right, your dog's likely not going to go bite someone in the face.
Yeah.
And I know people who own pit bulls, and again, I hate the term pit bull because pit bull's not actually a breed of a dog. But pit bulls, I have, my cousin owns one, and he's like 70 pounds of rock hard muscle, but he's the sweetest friggin' dog in the world. He's more apt to lick your face off than bite it. So
that's my dog. He's a pit mix, whatever it is, Labrador something. But I mean, he's a sweetheart. So, you know, like you said, it's all about the owner and not about the, you know, the product per se. Same with like the firearms and stuff. I just think that like it's, I mean, we're beating a dead horse at this point, but like I don't feel like there's anything positive to come from this. I just feel like it's one of those things of because it's come up in the past and then it kind of goes away. Something happens, it comes up, and then it kind of goes away.
In the end, don't break the law. And don't commit violent acts against other people.
But I will say this: I think if they did try to do that, you, like in the threes that we see on like Goodwill and people will throw away, those things will get like snatched up so fast by people who are intending to do those types of things, or they'll have someone build machines for them, or they'll order the parts. Because these parts can be used for any number of things. They'll make the machines themselves. So they're like, you'll just be able to like, they'll find people who want to do it will find a way to do it. You're not going to be able to stop those people.
Well, someone else told me, and actually this was a kid. He's a freshman in high school, and he was a bunch of people. We were all talking about this 3D printed firearm regulation thing, and he said, well, people buy computers and computer parts and build computers to do awful things. Right? Awful digital things.
Awful digital things. I was thinking that earlier too.
So do we now have to legally register every computer and have every computer accessible? And I'm like, well, every computer is accessible by somebody. But and he had a point, right? Like people have computers or other electronic things that they use to commit awful acts. And so now do we have to regulate and mandate them somehow, in more than they are now? But I'm not registering my 15 computers.
People said, "Don't give me ideas. Don't give them ideas."
But
there are so many other things in this world to worry about than 3D printed firearms.
I think it's a valid reason to worry about firearms and firearm violence in general. I just think that they're using 3D printing and additive manufacturing to add an additional hot button, because 3D printing and additive manufacturing is very popular right now in everything, right? Adidas has been talking about it for years. You got the federal government now talking about it in the military, and been using it for years, and all. So it's out there a lot, and now because some bad actors are using it for nefarious purposes, they're just using that headline to make people look at it more, for an agenda, whatever that agenda may be. But
it will be interesting to see, if all of a sudden, Micro Center has to hire someone to lobby in DC,
anybody
for the 3D printing industry.
I mean, the firearm industry has had some of the most financially backed lobbyists and connected lobbyists for decades. So now are they hey, 3D printing manufacturer companies, we'll get behind the NRA, we'll get behind you to, again, I don't want to get into any more of the political part of it. But aside from the controversial topic, there was the one printer that I thought was cool that was leaked, I guess. The page was on their website, and then now it got taken off. It was on their wiki, but the Flash Forge Creator 5, which it sounds weird because the Creator 5, I was hoping it was going to be a 5-headed tool changer, but it's not. It's 4. And then, Midnight Wolf just said it, the CC2. The CC2 is now US based. You can buy it. Is it pre-order or no? Some people actually had it shipped, right? I think some people have actually had the CC2 ship, but I'm excited about the FlashForge Creator 5. Now, anything FlashForge in the Creator line has usually been overpriced for what it is. So I hope that isn't the case with this one. But it'd be cool to have another 4-headed tool changer out there.
Yeah, even the page still comes up. If you Google Creator 5, it comes up with a wiki page, but when you go to it,
so it gives a 404 or something, doesn't it? Yeah. I think they probably put it out, leaked it, and then took it off, to drum up some drama and some
I will say I do like the top hat on it. It's just
square, right? It looks like the Walmart it looks like the Walmart bucket that GTR Dad has on his, and other people have been using. It's tinted too. I kind of like the tinted look, but so they have the Creator. It looks like they're going to have the Creator 5 and then the Creator 5 Pro, and it looks like the only difference is that the Creator 5 Pro is enclosed. Maybe it comes with hardened nozzles where the open one doesn't, or something. Who knows? But maybe it'll come with a chamber heater too, the Pro. That would be cool. And then the CC2, again, we've talked about that before. I think it's neat. I know a lot of people are irritated that it's not the CC1 with an AMS, and I know a lot of people don't like the top hat, but
that too. Both parts.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I don't hate it. If I needed a 4-color printer, it'd be something I might look into buying.
I legitimately hope it sucks. I do. That's how much
I am spiteful, and I hope it fails.
So spiteful on this one. I hope it's trash.
Yeah, I don't. I don't, only because I still would like to see the AMS for the CC1 come out.
That's
this
if they
failed,
do that,
might-
then I hope it's
Huh.
not trash. But if but
And I'd like
as
to
it
see,
stands, I hope it's garbage. I hope it
yeah,
freaking. I don't. I'm sorry if any of you bought it. I hope it sucks just because of the shadow promise we got of getting
yeah. So
a AMS or whatever CFS for the CC1.
yeah,
Yes.
so Cyber Jules says, I was wondering what was in that entire top portion. Is it just to protect? So it's not necessarily to protect the Bowden tubes or the tool head wire. It's just that those are there, and in order to enclose the printer, you kind of have to have an enclosure over the top of it. So it's kind of like a big top hat just to clear all of that stuff. And really the only way you can enclose it. But like similar to the U1 has that same style top hat thing. I hope it doesn't fail, only because I would like to see. Eventually like to see Elegoo do a tool changer, right? Like a low cost tool changer, like the U1.
Yeah, sure.
And, she says, "Oh, that's a doo-doo design. Seems thrown together."
Yes.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think the
I hate it.
I don't think it looks any different than the U1 with the I don't think any type of tool changer top hat necessarily looks good. Unless like a
do
stealth
think that
changer, those
some
don't.
look bad, and
Yeah.
and then this one, the one for the Adventure looks good. The one for the Centauri looks so stupid. I'm looking at it right now, and
So you like the
making
Creator 5 though, or at least the image
it's
they've
just a simple box. It's
Yeah.
very standard. If you put it on the shelf, it looks clean. You know,
Yeah.
if you had another one right beside it, that one would look clean. You wouldn't have these weird rhombusy, whatever parallelogram type shapes sitting on top of a machine. It'd just be a clean,
trapezoid.
like
I think so. I'd be curious to see the Creator 5, how big it is. It looks bigger. It looks bigger.
I'm fine with it looking bigger as long as the design
it looks like something that would be 300 or bigger. I don't know why, but by the picture and by the judge of like the tool heads, it looks bigger than like the M5 or the M5 Pro, which I think was like 235 by 335 or something like that, 225. But yeah, I want all of those to be successful, because I think that when companies are successful with whatever they're making, it leads to other stuff, right? So if
I guess, but it's not. They're not. No one's pushing the envelope right now. So
no, not after the U1. Everything
not after the
U1.
Not after the H2C. We're still waiting for the Prusa Bondtech collaboration.
Yeah.
So
I'm waiting for
the Atom Form as well.
Yeah.
But they haven't shown a working machine yet.
Well, and that was an abysmal failure at CES. So I'm interested in seeing Bondtech with anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the Bondtech with the Prusa, but I personally, I'm not going to spend that money for that setup. I'd love to. I just couldn't justify. What is it, like $1,800 or something for the?
I don't know. Once you start getting above the thousands, for me, I automatically tone out. So
yeah, so it's just I'm interested in the Bondtech on anything else, and that's where I wish. I'm a little bit not irritated, but I'm a little bit like, oh my god, they've been dragging their feet on that, and I don't know if it's Bruce's fault or if it's Bondtech's fault, but it's like
we'll blame
I want
Bondtech.
like I just want to see it available for whatever else anybody wants to put it on.
Hey, Joe Mike Makes, long time. I haven't seen you around in a while. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm happy with the U1, even though I use it. Like I haven't even really been printing a lot.
I haven't touched the thing in like weeks.
Yeah. But there's a few things that I want to do that I need to get focused on.
So
it's cool because right now there's no real holidays coming up. So
yeah,
there's not a push to like get models out that or for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
not like seasonal based models or
Yeah,
anything.
seasonal
But
based models.
now I am going to be using the U1 later this week because I am printing. I designed and printed TPU and PLA, so they'll have a PLA center for a hex shaft to go through and a TPU outside. So they're flexible wheels for our first robotics team for the robot.
Yeah, you showed me that.
So yeah, we'll be doing TPU and PLA, and then using the can't even think of the name of it now, but basically it locks it together in the slicer. Interlocking, is that what they call it? I don't remember, but yeah, it works good. I've done it before. I've done it a few times before, but we're going to be using it for that. We might do PETG middles too. I haven't decided, but that's really, I mean, I haven't really seen much else.
Yeah, it's been a quiet week.
I will say I have been playing way too much Arc Raiders, and it's kind of like,
yes, you have.
It's encompassed my entire life, my entire being over like the last month. I gotta like skip a day and get back into. And I've also been just nonstop printing parts for the robotics team. So that's been nonstop for like the last 2 weeks, and probably will be the case until like April-ish. But so
I mean, this actually might be a short one because I mean we pushed through the main thing. Cyber Jules, I mean, you look like you're not busy. What's up with next week? You busy next week? Next Wednesday at 8 p.m.?
Yes.
We'll talk. No pressure. You don't have to answer right now. I don't handle rejection well. No. But yeah, once again, I mean, we appreciate you guys coming out and all your input, you know, in the side chat. We were reading through it. Yeah, we'll see what comes of this whole thing.
She's moving next week. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
All right, well, we'll give you 3 weeks because it'll give you a week to settle in, and then
you have an open invitation for whenever.
Open invitation, yes. Let us know when you're ready.
So Nick was just had a question. Have you been printing multi-material? Yeah, so we've been printing specifically those wheels. I did a couple last year, but TPU and PETG work really well together. TPU and PLA do not work really together, but if you do use the interlocking layers in the slicer, they do print well together, and it's a very, very strong connection. So we'll be testing more of that type of stuff this year on the printer, and then more in the off-season thing just to make sure they hold up. But yes.
Cool. I found a raid target, Polyfo. I don't know if you ever met Polyfo. He does some cool. He made like
I've heard the name.
He made like a droid, a Star Wars droid. He was at 3D Printopia this year as well.
How do you spell
it? Faux.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I figured we could raid into Polyfo. He does 3D print. He does design as well. Right now, he's like
does fusion stuff.
Yeah. So we're gonna raid into Polyfo. Hang around for the raid.
It seems cool.
Once again, we appreciate you guys. We're gonna probably try to get a little bit more active throughout the week, leading up to the shows. So keep an eye out. If you can share it or whatever, we appreciate it. No pressure. But yeah,
and recommend guests, right? We still have a list of guests that we're trying to work and get on. But if there's somebody you want us to talk with, let us know.
For sure.
And you don't have to come into the Unspooled Discord to do that. It is a way that you can do it, but if you just shoot one of us a message on X or
PM,
it
doesn't have to be a 3D printing person, 3D printing adjacent, cosplay. If they use
leatherworking,
leatherworking, we try to keep it focused on 3D printing, but they could, there's tons of ways you can use 3D printing for like pretty much every hobby, from photography to knitting to leather.
I know a lot of woodworkers that use
woodworking. So on that note, like once again, I gotta hit this button because it's been calling me. Hold on.
We'll see you guys over in Polyfo.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to see what this does. All right, so we're rating Polyfo.
All right, later, guys.